Hello, friends, and welcome to Bottle and Bond, a discussion of the James Bond movies and lore alongside spirited companions. I am Mike Scott, and I have been watching James Bond movies for nearly 30 years, but have never really taken a deep dive into the history and lore of this film franchise. So, alongside my friend Charlie, we are going to delve into each of the 25 Eon produced movies. During this episode, we will be enjoying a beverage or two that would pair nicely with the movie. Today, we will be discussing the 17th movie in the franchise, 1995's Goldeneye. So find your cigarette case, prepare your favorite cocktail, shaken not stirred of course, and leave your hat at the door while we ponder this question. Does Remington have enough steel to be James Bond? This is episode 0017, Goldeneye. Charlie, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. So I have a question for you.
Yes.
Have you ever actually seen an episode of Remington Steele?
I have never seen an episode of Remington Steele.
Nor have I.
No?
No. I mean, I'm sure I've caught bits and pieces when there was this thing called TV and you'd change channels and stuff and it would be on, but I've never actually watched an episode of it.
My favorite podcast, 70mm, shout out. They haven't done one in a while, but they do pilot episodes. So they talk about like the pilot episode of a TV show.
Oh, I like the
So
sound
they
of that.
did, I believe they did like Smallville, but the big one they did that you'll be a fan of is Columbo.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we do one of Remington Steele in honor of this
Maybe we
new
should.
Bond.
You know, those pilots can be fascinating because sometimes there are like different actors in the pilot and things like that.
Star Trek being a famous example of that.
Yes, right. But then they like blended it into the story somehow, didn't they, with Captain Pike?
They did
and
later,
everything?
yeah. They used that episode in a later episode. It's
Yeah.
pretty funny. We have two companion beverages today. We have Jack Daniel's Bottled in Bond.
All right.
I have a lot to say about that one. We do have Perrier, or as the Countess Tracy likes to say, Perrier.
Yes.
And we're going to be mixing that with some Grey Goose vodka because we couldn't find Russian vodka for some strange reason right now.
Yes, it seems to be fairly scarce right now.
Errors and omissions. So we were talking about like how big of a movie year 1989 was, and I forgot the biggest one of all, which was Batman, starring Michael Keaton. That was a pretty big movie.
Yeah, it was big. I remember that.
We talked about Everett McGill, who played Ed Killefer in License to Kill, and I couldn't remember his name from Twin Peaks. It was Big Ed Hurley.
Okay.
And I would also like to apologize that I constantly switched the pronunciation of Sanchez and Sanchez throughout the episode.
Oh. But you're not gonna apologize for your pronunciation of the place where the movie premieres in London.
No, because I have no idea what that is. Nobody has ever told me the correct pronunciation, so I'm just going to keep winging it. Shout out to Craig.
Yeah, he actually finds it fairly irritating each time you do it, which makes him think it's even funnier.
Great. Absolutely great.
Yes.
Let's do the plot summary. You're Bond, James Bond. You're assigned to covert operations connected with the Goldeneye weapons satellite. M will brief you on your mission and objectives from London. Q Branch will support your efforts with a plentiful supply of weapons and gadgets. Moneypenny offers you lighthearted best wishes, and you're off. Your mission begins in the heavily guarded chemical warfare facility at the Bailamore Dam in the USSR. Look and shoot in any direction as you navigate 12 interactive 3D environments. Use stealth and force as you see fit in matters of international security. Consider the military personnel expendable. You are licensed to kill. Goldeneye 64.
About halfway through, I figured out it was the video game.
And I played the video game all week, and I gotta say, it's fun, but the controls are abysmal. It's
Really?
when you use like a modern Nintendo Switch controller, it doesn't work the same. So of course I went
So
out.
this was on the Nintendo?
It was on
Like,
the Nintendo 64
okay.
exclusively.
And what was the controller? That had its own handheld
It had
controller,
like
right?
three like, appendages, and the
Mm-hmm.
bottom appendage was your stick for
Okay.
your movement, and then like you basically held the right side for most of your actions. Very weird controller, but of course I purchased one from Nintendo after playing the game a little bit and decided I want to play it for real with the actual Nintendo 64 controller. So you
Of
can get
course you did.
you can get a Nintendo 64 controller to play Switch Online games. Where's our Nintendo sponsorship? That would be great. That would be a moneymaker.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the cast. We have Pierce Brosnan as James Bond, first of 4 appearances. We have Sean Bean as Alec Trevelyan, 006. We have Isabella Skorupko as Natalia Simonova. Famke
Okay,
Jan.
so she's like really Russian or something?
She's
Or is
Polish.
Okay.
She is Polish. We have Famke.
So her accent is real.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe changed slightly. We'll have to ask our Polish listeners to distinguish between
Yeah,
the
see,
two.
I don't know if I'd know the difference between a Polish accent and a Russian
Right.
accent, so I'm guessing that works. Alan Cumming, I don't think his accent is real. Anyway, keep going.
Famke Janssen as Xenia Onatop. Jodan Baker as Jack Wade. This is the second of 3 appearances, but his first is this character. He was previously Brad Whitaker in Living Daylights.
Yeah, he changed sides and came back to life.
Yeah. We have Judi Dench as him, first of 7 appearances. We have Desmond Llewellyn as Q, 15th of 17 appearances.
Wow, it's winding down.
Samantha Bond as Miss Moneypenny, first of 4 appearances. You may know her from Downton Abbey. She was the sister in Downton Abbey. The one that the one daughter went to live with when she was pregnant. Spoiler alert for Downton Abbey fans.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I knew I liked her.
Yeah.
I do like her as Moneypenny, but I'm going to have to look at that again.
We have Godfried John as General Arkady Urumov. We have the great Alan Cumming as Boris Grishenko. Cheky Karyo as Dmitry Mishkin.
Wait, didn't the police write a song about Boris Grishenko?
Did they? Oh, I know what you're talking about. I understand that reference. Robbie Coltrane, a.k.a. Hagrid, as Valentin Zukovsky. Michael Kitchen as Bill Tanner, which I'm reading a Bond book right now, and Bill Tanner's in it. I forgot how much Bill Tanner was actually in the books. And I think he's been in previous movies, too. He's the chief of staff. Serena Gordon as Caroline, and Minnie Driver as Irina.
Yeah.
That was fun.
How about that?
Directed by Martin Campbell, first of 2. His second one was some obscure Bond movie called Casino Royale.
Oh, really? So he
Yes.
skips
He
some
skipped
time
all of it,
before
yeah.
he... Okay.
Screenplay by Jeffrey Kane and Bruce Firestein. No relation to Harvey Firestein. I would like a Harvey Firestein penned James Bond movie. That would be pretty fun.
I think so.
Music by Eric Serra. Cinematography by Phil Mayhew. Production design by Peter Lamont. Theme song, Goldeneye by Tina Turner. Written by Bono and The Edge. I assume you saw that in the credits.
Yes. Not only, but I read about the fact that they lived next to each other in France. And they like went over to her house and The Edge played the tune on the piano and they like sat there and, worked it out. Can you even imagine?
That's amazing.
It's crazy.
This one premiered in the U.S. first on November 13th, 1995 at Radio City Music Hall in New York. And then the wide premiere was November 17th. The UK premiere was November 22nd, 1995 at the Odeon Leicester Square. And then wide release in the UK, November 24th, 1995. The budget adjusted for inflation was $93.9 million, still fairly cheap by today's standards with inflation. The worldwide box office was $652.1 million, 15th of 25, which I was a little surprised with. I actually thought it was going to be a little higher than that.
Yeah, I kind of thought it would be too, because I thought everyone was so excited for Remington Steele finally being James Bond because they thought he was going to be a few years earlier.
So, Is this the one that you've only seen once before?
I think I had
Research.
only seen it once.
That's
but
insane.
I did see it in the theater. But yes, but I remember the time leading up to it, how excited we were to see it with Remington Steele
Yeah.
and with the BMW Z3 being the car in there. That was a big deal. And the funny thing is, I was trying to figure out, because we live in the modern world now.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to figure out how we knew about these things back in the day. And frankly, I'm not 100% certain. Although this was the very beginning of the internet time.
Yes.
So this one. But even before that, when Timothy Dalton was being James Bond, and I talked about how we all wanted it to be Pierce Brosnan,
Right.
I started thinking, how did we know that?
Yeah.
Where did we go to find these things out?
I mean, probably the Usenet groups on Prodigy, right?
Right, exactly. No, I'm a CompuServe guy. I grew up
CompuServe,
very
that's
close
right.
to CompuServe. Yeah.
Okay. My history, I did not see this in the theater. This was the first James Bond movie I ever saw. I owned it on tape.
Oh, okay.
I think we got it from Columbia House for $1, and I watched this one a lot. So
Would you have been like a high school age when this came
yes.
out? Okay.
I would have been 14, 15, 16. Yeah. And I watched this on tape a lot, and I'm just going to tell you right now, there's a lot of nostalgia with this one.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I can imagine.
stay tuned for the end. But now we'll go on to the scene-by-scene breakdown.
All right.
We start off at a dam in the USSR.
That's a pretty impressive dam. Wherever
It is.
Is that the real dam in the USSR?
So it's
where they
called the
filmed it?
Archangel Chemical Weapons Facility in the movie, but it was actually filmed in Switzerland.
Okay.
So my question is this a god dam?
Wow.
We see a mysterious figure running across the top of the dam carrying some rope. And then he gets to the middle and bungee jumps off the side and shoots a gun that latches to the concrete at the bottom. This was
Pretty cool scene.
It was a very cool scene. This was performed by a guy by the name of Wayne Michaels. He did the dam jump in one take. And later he actually did also play the helicopter pilot that gets shot. So we'll get to that in a second.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, this went off perfectly on the first take. It was a 700-foot jump, and it was a world record at the time for bungee jump.
It looked pretty amazing.
It was
and
pretty
it
cool.
also looked terrifying how close that dam was. Now,
Yeah.
I bet in real life they knew it was safe and all that stuff, obviously. And it was probably farther out from the dam than it looked. But boy, was it pretty wild looking.
They did say that the biggest fear with it was if there were like wind shears
Yeah.
or some wind, he would have got slammed into it. He would have got slammed into the dam.
And I assume that would be bad.
Probably.
But I don't think he actually shot a gun at the bottom of his fall, and that, I assume, was done
Yes.
later.
Yes.
Yeah, because that would be extremely dangerous, I think, and probably difficult to hang onto that gun
Yes.
with the bungee cord trying to pull you back up.
There's a perfect cut because like when he bungees, you see at one point he goes behind like a rock.
Yeah,
And that's where they cut it and then did the other part.
it was still very, very cool.
Bond then, he shoots that, he latches on, gets down there, and then he uses like his little laser to
It's a
create
good thing they
hole.
have no lookouts, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah. To create a hole to drop down in there. And we get to a bathroom in this facility, and this is our first time seeing someone take a number 2 in a Bond movie.
I guess. Although first we see a guy take a number 1
Yeah.
in a urinal
Urinal, yeah.
for our British listeners.
Is that really what it's called over there?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
A urinal.
Aluminium? Oh.
I know. I remember how surprised I was the first time I heard about a urinal, and I'm like, really?
This guy's just minding his own business, reading his newspaper.
Poor guy.
He didn't have a cell phone back then. While he's on the crap.
Right. Nothing to scroll.
And then Bond drops down in front of him. He pulls the paper down, and Bond takes him out. Just knocks him out. This was a real toilet. It was in a new facility that they used for filming, which was an abandoned Rolls-Royce factory. Because the old,
Oh.
the old 007 stage was not big enough for all the stuff they wanted to do.
Okay.
And this is where we see Pierce Brosnan. He was originally offered the role in 1986, but he couldn't do it because of Remington Steele being renewed. What would have happened had Remington Steele not been renewed and he'd have done Living Daylights?
Yeah, I just
that would have
don't
been
know.
interesting.
It would have been interesting.
Bond's going through the facility, and we have a mysterious figure that's yelling at Bond in Russian, and it turns out that this is Agent 006, Alec Trevelyan. And he says, "You're late, 007." And Bond gives his first quip of the day. "I had to stop in the bathroom."
It's a good one.
They then work their way through the facility. Eventually, 6-7 take out scientists and infiltrate deeper into the facility. My daughter will never listen to this, but she would really appreciate the 6-7 comment.
I know. The people who will listen to it will just groan, though.
Yes, they will.
And then someday in the future, when they've like enshrined our podcast for posterity, people will be like, "Why would that be funny?" I don't
What's
understand.
6-7? What does that even mean?
Either that, or it'll be just like party on, or
Party on, dudes!
yeah.
So eventually,
or be excellent to each other.
yeah. Eventually, they get into this room that has these a bunch of
We assume canisters
canisters
of the
of
chemical weapons.
yes,
I guess
canisters of the chemical. Yeah. So 006 locks the door, and he says 50% of everything is luck, and then the alarm goes off. Or I'm sorry, Bond says, "What's the other 50?" And then the alarm goes off, and 006 says fate. So we see Bond moving around all these giant vats of this chemical weapon, and he's putting these little explosives on them, and he's telling Alec to, watch the door. We've got a breach in the door. He says a specific line that now has escaped me. There's a draft, I think is what he said. There's a draft. And he doesn't hear a response from 006. So Bond goes out and he sees that General Arkady Oromov gets into the room. There's a bunch of soldiers in there, and 006 is down on his knees with a gun to his head. So Bond then decides to change all the timers to 3 minutes because they were originally set at 6, but
Right.
he sets them to 3, and that's foreshadowing for something later.
You know what I found interesting to begin with, though, is Bond is killing a lot of people.
Yes.
There is a lot of killing in this
Yes.
opening scene, which is not something that you're used to seeing in these movies.
I mean, 006 walks in and just shoots that scientist and kills him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, when the guys are coming in the room and then when Bond is
Mhm.
escaping, there's a lot of shooting people.
Yeah. So Bond changes the timers to 3 minutes, and then he walks out because he knows that 006 has been captured and he was going to surrender. But then 006 is telling him to finish the job for England, James, and then he gets shot and is killed. So Bond goes back behind all these vats, and then he finds a...
You know what I wrote down at that point?
Here we go. The famous notebook.
Yes. I said Sean Bean dies faster than Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that took a whole season.
I know.
This guy always dies. Boromir. So Bond uses a cart of gas tanks to walk across the room so they don't shoot at him.
Yeah, I mean, that was smart, right?
Yeah.
Because the guy had been saying, don't shoot at those tanks, which is probably good advice.
And of course, we have a trigger-happy soldier that fires off at Bond, and the Oromov immediately turns around
yeah,
and
just
shoots
turns around
him.
and shoots him. Man, it's hardcore in that Russian military.
Communist Russia, because we're still, this was
Yeah,
9
'cause
years
this
earlier.
is-
Yeah.
9 years earlier.
Bond hops onto a conveyor belt and shoots the locks perfectly. His shooting is
I know.
amazing in this movie.
It really
He
is.
shoots the locks
He's
so all these tanks drop down onto
on
the
a
soldiers.
moving conveyor
Yeah.
belt. He shoots the locks, but not the tanks.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
It is pretty impressive.
Eventually, he's outside.
It is pretty cool when all the tanks come crashing down on
Yeah.
everyone, though.
He's outside and dodging these soldiers' bullets, and then there's a plane conveniently.
It's a good thing the soldiers just keep running at him in the wide open and don't think to like hide behind things and shoot at him or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah. So while he's dodging all this, there's a plane taking off, and he catches up to the plane,
Everyone knows people can run faster than
Yes.
planes, right?
fights with the pilot, but somehow they both end up falling out. There's now somebody on a motorcycle chasing them. The motorcycle becomes conveniently available after it plows into the pilot on the tarmac, and so Bond gets onto the motorcycle to catch up to the
And
plane.
inexplicably, this whole time, the Oromov is still having nobody shoot.
Yes. Oh, they don't want to damage the plane?
I know, right? I'm not exactly
Who
sure why
knows?
they weren't shooting. Well, then Then he just thinks it's funny that Bond's going to drive this motorcycle off the end of the
Yeah.
runway.
Oh, we're just going to assume he dies because there's no way anybody could survive that.
No.
But Bond takes the motorcycle off the side of the cliff. Great set, by the way. This whole set.
Oh, it looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then jumps off of the motorcycle and manages to catch up to the plane.
Fall faster than an airplane that has a motor pulling it down.
I did read about this. The stuntman was like, yeah, I could never catch up to it. One time I was able to grab the tail of the plane. But I mean, that's a real stunt, so it's pretty cool.
That is wild. I wondered whether... So they actually had a plane. I mean, obviously...
They had somebody flying the plane, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And probably in a place where that person knew they could pull the plane.
Yes.
It probably wasn't as close to the ground as it
Yes.
looked. Yeah. Still, it was pretty wild. But yeah, I wondered how you could that easily catch up to a flying plane.
Regardless, Bond is free falling into the cockpit.
Oh, man.
He gets in there. He pulls up just in time to fly off, and as he's flying off, the whole facility explodes. He did all that in 3 minutes.
I know. That's
pretty
the first
impressive.
thing I thought when it blew up. I'm like, I should have counted to see if that was really 3 minutes.
Bond does everything in 3 minutes. Now we get our opening credits with the song Goldeneye by Tina Turner. As I said, written by Paul Hewson and David Evans.
Ah, nice.
Better known as Bono and Thedge. There's a great podcast hosted by Scott Aukerman and Adam Scott called Are You Talking U2 to Me? And they always refer to The Edge as Thedge. Shout out to them. They need more listeners. I mean, with our millions of listeners, maybe
I know, right?
send
Those
a few their
guys
way.
Are struggling.
So, a guy by the name of Danny Kleinman did this title sequence. Previously, it had been Maurice Binder, and he had done 14 of the previous 16 Bond title sequences. The only two he didn't do were From Russia with Love and Goldfinger. And that was before they kind of established how they wanted to do these Bond title sequences with all the naked ladies. Yeah.
That'd have been my first choice, but I would have been like, wait, are we allowed to do this?
Yeah.
This one I felt was a bit more visible than some of the other ones had been to this
I don't know. That last one was pretty visible in that 4K.
Yeah, I'll bet. But yeah, there were a lot of parts of the sequence in this one where it wasn't silhouettes. But
pretty good opening sequence, though, with all the Russian symbols and stuff.
It was good.
I liked it.
The song's
The song's good. Yeah, we'll get to it.
Are we going to discuss the origin of the name Goldeneye?
It was in my trivialities, but we can go ahead. Goldeneye was the name of Ian Fleming's estate in Jamaica. That's where he actually wrote the first Bond book, was at Goldeneye.
Yeah.
And that's literally the only thing this movie has to do with Ian Fleming. Everything else is original.
Fascinating.
Yeah. We're now 9 years later, and we're in Monaco. Bond is driving an Aston Martin DB5 with a woman sent to evaluate him. Her name is Caroline. This is the first DB5 since Thunderball.
Wow.
The fourth James Bond movie. We see
it's pretty beautiful.
It is. It's really nice.
Yeah. I mean, this was, I'm guessing 95 was like a low point for Aston Martin if they were doing things. I don't really know, but so they probably thought, let's bring back that classic. Then we get another car, though.
We see a red Ferrari F355 GTS catching up, and which in real life would have immediately just blown away
I think
Aston
it
Martin.
would dust the Aston Martin, yes.
Bond's talking to Caroline. He says, Caroline says, I enjoy a spirited ride as much as the next girl. And then she looks over, sees the Ferrari, and says, who's that? And Bond says, the next girl.
Yes. I commented, my note here was cheesy music. Some of the music, probably in lots of movies during this time period, suffers for being very
90s.
synth heavy and just what time period it is. And you think to yourself, they should just go back to symphonic music. You know what I mean? Where you can't really date it.
We'll see. We'll see if that happens. So Bond and this Ferrari, they're racing back and forth. Bond eventually causes the Ferrari to spin out. There was a scene in this where I think it was when the Ferrari spins out and then gets back onto track, they actually had a collision.
Oh.
And they were able to repair the Aston Martin on location, but they had to actually send the Ferrari to, I think they said Monte Carlo, to get it fixed.
Yeah, I bet Monte Carlo has a few Ferrari
Yeah.
repair facilities and dealers and so forth.
Yeah, that Ferrari was on loan, so obviously they wanted to make sure to get that taken care
Return
of.
it in
Yeah.
good condition. It was a pretty nice looking Ferrari.
The stunt driver for this, his name was Remy Julien. He did a good bit of the stunt driving, and then his son Dominique was in the Ferrari with a wig on. So there's a
Okay.
couple times where you could see it, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't think about these things because why? Because you want good stunt drivers doing this stuff.
Yeah.
There was a nice callback to For Your Eyes Only when all the bikers were on the
Yes.
side of the road and they all get knocked over. That's like the skiers in For Your Eyes Only. And of course, and we're still waiting for this, Bollinger, call us. Bond opens up the center
Armrest.
panel, the armrest, and there's a nice chilled bottle of Bollinger in there.
Of course there is.
Bond stops off, and I'm gonna say it, we get slap and tickle number one. There's no way.
I mean, I'm
wasn't. There had to
assuming,
be.
yeah, because things
Yeah.
start to look like it. Yeah.
With Caroline.
Yes, the woman sent to evaluate.
Yeah.
him.
We now have that night in Monaco. The first shot of Bond walking around in the casino was actually the Casino de Monte Carlo in Monaco. So that was the only shot that was actually in a casino. The rest of it was on sets in England. We get a nice callback to Dr. No with Bond joining a Baccarat game. We have a madam there puffing on a cigar while playing.
A very skinny looking cigar.
It was very skinny.
Yeah.
Little tidbit here. In the background, when you see her, there's a woman standing back there, and that's actually Miss Venezuela from like 5 years ago. She won some sort of contest during License to Kill era to appear in the next Bond movie.
Okay.
So she's just
Be
standing
like an
there in a nice
extra,
dress. Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
Bond does eventually win. He lost his first one, but then he won the second one, and then leaves the table and goes to flirt, and he orders his famous vodka martini, shaken not stirred. And then he utters his famous line. The name's Bond, James Bond. The madam is actually a Georgian named Xenia Onatop. She sounded Eastern European to me. I didn't hear any Southern accent.
Yeah, she's nice.
They bring back the great double entendre with the Bond girl names, Xenia Onatop.
Yes, on a top.
Like I said, this is Famke Janssen. I think it's Janssen. I don't think it's Janssen. Famke Janssen, she's appeared in a ton of movies. Most notably, she was Liam Neeson's wife in the Taken movies, or maybe ex-wife. I haven't seen those in forever. But most people would recognize her other than this from X-Men as Jean Grey.
Oh, okay.
Onatop eventually leaves with an admiral, a Canadian admiral.
Yeah, I took note of the fact that finally, like, an American isn't getting duped or looking stupid or something, right? It's a Canadian.
Yeah, we'll go Canadian this time.
Mm-hmm.
We then go to Bond checking out a mime show, briefly.
Yes. What
And
what
like
else?
you said earlier, what could be more French than a mime show?
What could be more French than a mime show?
He goes to the top of this little theater and he's spying on the admiral and on a top walking to a boat that takes them to a ship called the Manticore.
And he was taking what appeared to be like a digital photo,
Yes.
which, might have been a thing in 1995. I don't really know.
I was watching the commentary and they said nobody notices this, but there was like a stupid little mistake where at one point Bond was looking out of his left eye and then the very next cut he's looking out of his right eye. So I didn't notice it, but because they said it, I did. The commentary is actually pretty interesting because it was just with the director and Michael G. Wilson, the producer, Cubby's stepson.
Oh, okay.
Bond also spots a helicopter on one of the other yachts that was out there. He goes back to his car, and Moneypenny has sent him some intel on Xenia, who appears to be working with a group called the Janus Corp.
And the intel comes out of a very cool printer in the radio of that car.
It is very cool.
And it like gets printed right out of that thing, and there are pictures and everything. So it has to be like digital photos and stuff. Pretty wild.
It's amazing. Like, we're talking a 6-year gap, how much different some of this stuff has become.
Yeah.
Moneypenny has a nice little quip where she says, "I trust you'll stay on a top of things."
Yes.
Then we go to the boat with the Manticore. on top, getting her freak on with the Admiral. And this is where we can see that she may be the most psychotic villain we've seen yet.
I know, right? It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And her facial expressions are like really disturbing.
Yeah. But I mean, the Admiral seems to be having a good time up until the point where he gets squeezed to death by her legs.
Okay, did you look up whether this is a real thing? Like, I don't feel like squeezing sideways on your chest could actually suffocate.
Well, after when I looked up Google for cyanide and got all those warnings, I decided not to look up anything on this one. I don't want them to think I'm some sort of...
Right. Could I suffocate
can I die
somebody
from
by... Could I suffocate someone by... I mean, obviously a boa constrictor can keep you from breathing, but it's got like a grip all the way around.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know whether a human's legs could squeeze hard enough sideways.
Apparently, Famke Janssen spent a lot of time actually building up her leg muscles for these scenes. So that's pretty cool. Just a little tidbit here that the shadow of them, so you have them and then you have the shadow of them.
Yeah.
The shadow was different people. They had the people in the shadow mimicking the exact same scene so that it looked, you know, cool. And I thought they did a good job. You never really would have thought that it was a different set of people. Right. So that was cool. So yeah, the Admiral's dead. We do go to the next day in the harbor. Bond decides to infiltrate the Manticore. A sailor tries to stop him, and Bond takes the sailor out.
Bond's best way to... I don't know how he got to the Manticore, but he was bone dry wearing a double-breasted suit.
He was on a boat. That boat was his. I don't know why they didn't stop him.
Care about him? Yeah, because he
just
pulled up to there and just like pulled himself over the rail, I guess.
We then cut to Xenia and the Admiral boarding the fancy French ship. Bond is on the Manticore, discovers the dead Admiral with a huge smile on his face, which, I mean, I guess there's worse ways to go.
I guess so. You know, the French Navy gets duped, huh? I mean, I guess...
We don't want to insult... Let's not insult any of our French listeners.
It's been a while since the heyday of the French Navy, I think. They used to be, I mean, quite a force.
Yeah. So the French soldier on that ship introduces the helicopter. It's called the Tiger. It's a stealth helicopter that is... spoiler alert, or not spoiler alert, but foreshadowing alert, invulnerable to EMPs.
Right.
We have the two pilots that are going to be going to show off the helicopter, walking to it, and Zinnia's in there. Like I said earlier, one of those two pilots was the guy that did the bungee jump at the beginning of the movie. Yeah. And he says, "I think I've died and gone to heaven," and she says, like, you know, "Not yet," and then she pulls out a gun and shoots both of them. And then her and the Admiral.
It's a good thing no one heard that. Oh, there was a silencer on the gun, wasn't there?
It's also a good thing that the uniforms fit both of them perfectly, and they're just able to, you know, put those on and hop onto the helicopter. So they take the helicopter
anyway.
away.
They just steal it.
Yeah.
I wish they had showed more of the people on the boat just watching the helicopter go away, and then like looking at their watches and being like, "Wait, is it coming back? Yeah. Wait, it's been like 10 minutes now. Are they coming back?"
Yeah. No, they couldn't do that because there was some British scum that was trying to stop the helicopter.
I know,
and they of
right?
course wanted to focus on him. So Bond gets stopped and detained by the French soldiers, and the helicopter flies away. We now go to the Space Weapons Control Center in Severnaya, Russia. We have Boris and Natalia doing some hacking stuff in this center.
It looked very cold.
It did.
There.
Boris is played by, like we said earlier, Alan Cumming, who I best remember another X-Men. He was Nightcrawler from the X-Men movies.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah. And then, like I said, we had Isabella Skorupko, who was born in Poland, raised in Sweden, and actually had a gold record in Sweden as a pop singer.
Really?
As Natalia, yeah.
Wow. You know, and what I notice is, for one thing, I did take note of the fact they mentioned the internet, but also the computer graphics in movies just are always cheesy, right? And so the computer graphics in this movie are also cheesy.
Yeah. Well, they said the audio commentary. It's like, yeah, a lot of this. I mean, we couldn't like film an actual computer screen,
No, I know.
so they, it was like projection or something. I don't remember exactly what they said they did, but it was a effect so that they
It's
could.
just always so goofy,
Yeah.
though.
Natalia is trying to get into her computer. It's been blocked by Boris, and there's a password. And Boris, the password or the clue is they're right in front of you and can open very large doors. And the answer is knockers.
Yes.
It's very offensive. While Natalia's getting into her computer, Boris hacks into the Department of Justice, and he gets detected. But then he sends a spike, whatever that is.
It was something they invented for this
Yeah.
movie. Here's my note on that. Dork uses internet.
Nice. We have another another little thing where it's like the password is you sit on it, but you can't take it with you, and that's foreshadowing to much later in the movie.
Yeah, like I got that password immediately.
Yeah, I didn't, and then I realized, oh, it's 5 letters, and then I like, oh yeah, Countess Tracy got it.
Did she? Nice.
She did.
And then we next learn that even in Russia in 1995, you're not allowed to smoke indoors.
Yeah, you gotta go outside. Before that, Boris sends a nice message to the FBI after his successful hack saying, I am invincible. But yeah, Boris goes out, has a smoke, and the stolen helicopter arrives, and Onatop arrives with the Admiral, who is actually Oramov. Big shocker there. Natalia's in the break room pouring some coffee.
Now, how do you think they flew a helicopter all the way from France?
Very stealthily.
I guess so, but
Where
I
do
mean,
you think that is? I mean, you think that's like Siberia? I don't even know where it's.
I would guess it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very cold there, but you'd have to refuel that helicopter. I'm assuming many times flying from France
Yeah.
over the rest of Europe, but it is stealth, okay?
Yeah.
But you'd have to refuel that helicopter. Anyway, they just show up.
Right. Oramov surprises a soldier on duty with an unscheduled war simulation to fire Goldeneye. It took 21 takes for them to extract the Goldeneye from that vault. That little scene where the
Are you
vault
kidding?
opens.
And he
No,
puts his hand in and
yeah.
pulls that thing out.
It took 21 takes. It
Oh
took
my
one
gosh.
take to do the bungee, and it took 21 for that simple task.
Wow, because like the just mechanical thing didn't
Yeah.
work very well or
Yeah,
something.
that's what they were saying.
That's hilarious.
They get the Goldeneye, and then Onatop proceeds to execute the entire facility while she's making some very sexual noises
I know.
to the point that even Oramov is looking at her thinking she's insane.
Yeah.
I love that part where they cut over to him and he's just looking at her like, what are you doing?
I know. And she wears a very stylish, fancy looking leather uniform.
Oh yeah, she looks great.
Yeah.
They fire the Goldeneye, and that sends an EMP to the facility. I thought for the time, I mean, the special effects I thought were pretty good in this.
But did you notice that when she is looking around because she realizes that somebody is still alive there,
Mm-hmm.
she tastes the spilled food on the floor of the kitchen?
I think she was checking to see if it was still warm, maybe?
I couldn't figure
I
out
guess.
what that would. I mean, you just came in and shot everyone, right?
Or maybe it's just another one of her kinks. She likes
right.
to eat things off the floor.
Very weird.
So she goes into the break room and, sees that. And
Shoots the
ceiling because we see
It
earlier.
was a good ruse.
We see Natalia earlier getting up onto
Pull
the
the vent
table and
down.
pull the vent down.
Yeah, that was smart.
And so she shoots it, and then presumably killing Natalia, and once again gets off. And then Oramov and Oramov and Onatop are leaving, and Onatop says, "It's clean. I had to ventilate someone."
Nice.
And I think it was Michael G. Wilson's like, I hated that line so much. Or it might have been Famke Janssen that said, I hated that line. But the helicopter flies away while the Russian MiGs are sent to investigate.
Meanwhile,
So now we're back at MI6. And Bond is chatting with Moneypenny. Like I said, I like that her name is Samantha Bond, the actress. Also
Yeah,
known for, like
yeah.
I said, for Downton Abbey. and she's taking him to the to M's, to the main
The
offices
situation room or
there you go,
whatever.
situation
Yeah.
room. And Bond's like, "What would I ever do without you?" Moneypenny has a great line here. "As far as I can remember, James, you've never had me."
Yeah, that was good.
And Moneypenny tells him that someday he has to make good on his innuendos.
Yeah.
I like her. She's a good Moneypenny.
She's a good
She's
Moneypenny.
definitely not the previous Moneypenny damsel in distress, kind of just
Right.
completely enamored with James Bond. Bond is chatting with Bill Tanner, checking the satellite photos of Severnaya. And Tanner is insulting M as she walks in
Yeah.
and gets chastised for it. And then we have Judi Dench as M, a woman. We have a woman as M. What's the world coming to? You know what it's coming to? Judi Dench is a freaking legend. She's an amazing M. There, I said it.
Yeah. And her line when she chastises him is great. And I wrote M rules.
Yes.
Yeah, she's really good.
And the reason they did this, actually, well, maybe not the reason, but there was inspiration. The actual real head of MI5 at the time was a woman.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't like it was completely out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't want to offend any of those, 50s, 60s misogynistic Bond fans or anything. It was a real thing.
Yeah,
So-
she's good as the boss.
Yeah. So we get a lot of talk here about the Goldeneye.
Because it's not real.
Right.
They could never afford to build it.
M makes this comment about, unlike the American government, we prefer not to get our bad news from CNN.
Yeah.
Nice little shot there. I'm not offended as an American about that.
I don't really care.
Yeah. We're back at Severnaya. Natalia was hiding down on the floor in a cabinet, so she did survive. And Goldeneye had been fired, so the facility gets disabled, and then the jets that are coming also get hit by the EMP, so they're crashing out.
Okay, it doesn't just get disabled.
It crashed.
Like, everything
it falls down.
but everything electronic starts like exploding
Yeah.
in that place.
Yeah, Natalia's somehow dodging it all, and she really did this stunt where she runs
Slid across that
slide
floor,
across the
dove.
floor under the stairs.
Yeah, it
she
didn't
did
look
that.
fun. It
Yeah.
looked like it would hurt, although I'm sure they do something to make it not hurt
Yeah.
as much. But it was a good stunt.
Yeah. We go back to MI6 again, and they actually watch the facility get EMP'd and the jets getting fried. Back to Natalia. She survives the chaos and walks out of the facility. Conveniently, there's a...
After, as I wrote, good Russian covers bodies.
Oh, nice.
She puts little,
Yes,
covers their
that's
heads and
right.
stuff.
That's
she
right.
doesn't know the whole base is about to explode and make
Yeah.
it pointless.
That
but,
was nice
yeah,
of her.
That was.
I gotta say, she's a good Bond girl.
Yeah, she's
We'll get
pretty
to
good.
it, but she's a good Bond girl. So she leaves the facility. Of course, there's a nice team of huskies there ready to escort her away. That's
I
helpful.
wrote dogs save the day.
Dogs save the
Dogs
day.
are the best.
Yeah. Back at MI6 again, they get updated images showing the facility was destroyed, so Bond knows that it's the Goldeneye, and the Goldeneye's real.
And now what's going to happen?
Yeah. Bond, he knows that it was an inside job in Russia to get the access codes for Goldeneye, and he saw that he sees
saw that
Natalia too.
they see from the satellite that somebody escapes the facility.
But he knows that it couldn't have been outside hack. That
Right.
the codes and stuff that they have, it had to be somebody that was working in the facility. So he knows that, and then he sees Natalia's image getting away. We then go to M's office. M is chatting with the Prime Minister. Russia says that the accident was a training exercise.
As they will.
Of course.
Just
then-
like Chernobyl couldn't hurt anyone.
Right. And M and Bond talk about the Giannis Syndicate again. And then M offers Bond some bourbon, which is Jack Daniels. And
Which isn't technically bourbon.
this is technically it is a bourbon
Okay.
because it does have all the right ingredients for it, but it's actually a Tennessee whiskey. And to nerd out here a little bit, the reason it's a Tennessee whiskey is it's because it's filtered over charcoal. That's the difference between just bourbon and Tennessee whiskey.
All right.
So yes, it is basic because bourbon has to be like 51% corn. That's the big thing. It has to be 51% corn. So
Okay.
if it's that, that's a good start. But I got a very special Jack Daniels bourbon that we're going to go get now, and we will be right back.
All right.
We are back. We got our first sponsorship, Charlie.
Oh, good.
We have Jack Daniel's Bonded Tennessee Whiskey. This is bottled in bond, 100 proof.
Just like the name of our podcast.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Let's give it a whirl. Now, what the heck is bottled in bond?
So
I've been on this podcast this whole time, and I know it means something related to liquor, but I don't actually know what it means.
So basically, bottled in bond means that it has to be stored in a specific government facility, and it has to be 100 proof.
Interesting.
That's it.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's interesting.
I mean, it's better than regular Jack Daniels.
It is better than regular Jack
My
Daniels.
mother's favorite drink is Jack Daniels.
Yeah, it's like maybe not quite as sweet or something. Like it's a little...
Got a little more bite to it. It definitely
yeah.
has a little more bite.
Well, yeah, it's 100 proof.
Yeah.
But the taste doesn't quite smack you in the face. Maybe a little bit like regular Jack Daniels.
Honestly, it tastes more like a traditional bourbon than regular Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Regular Jack Daniels is a lot sweeter.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has anything to do with the charcoal or not, or if it's just just because they maybe put more corn.
Could be. Which is usually what I don't like about bourbon, is too much sweetness. All right.
M does not go away from the bourbon for the rest of it. I'm excited to see if she actually changes and drinks anything different from the Jack Daniels. We'll see.
You mean as the movies go on?
Yeah, we'll see. We got seven more movies.
So they talk, and what I wrote about that was it's much more modern seeming dialogue, I think, between M and Bond in this scene than it has been.
I mean, M's pretty blunt with him.
Yeah.
At one point, she calls Bond a misogynistic dinosaur
She does.
because he's a relic of the Cold War, and she thinks he's outdated and stuff. So it's pretty funny. She doesn't hold any punches on him, but she also says, I have no qualms about sending somebody to their death.
Right.
And so with that, she sends Bond off to investigate. But then at the very end, she shows her soft side and tells Bond right before he walks out the door, Bond, come back alive. That was nice. Nice scene.
Yeah, it was a good scene. She's a good M, for sure.
We now have a brief scene in Russia where Defense Minister Mishkin summons Ourumov because they're talking about how this facility was destroyed.
Pretty cool room they're meeting
It
in.
was a pretty cool room, which was of course, in England.
Yeah, still. It was a cool room.
Ourumov discusses the Goldeneye crime, says it was committed by Siberian separatists. And he says
So it probably isn't Siberia.
Yeah. He says he's resigning, but the council is all up in arms about it.
Oh, no, don't resign.
What's
Please.
funny here, there's a little snippet in the council room, one of the guys who kind of hams it up just a little bit. He's got glasses, he's on the left side. That's Michael G. Wilson, the producer.
Oh, really?
Cubby Broccoli's stepson. So he gets to make his little appearance in this.
Nice.
The defense minister then informs Ourumov that they're missing 2 technicians, not 1. So Ourumov was not aware of Natalia surviving, of course.
Right. But he, as we find out, knows where the first one is.
Yes. We now go to Q Lab, and we have Desmond Llewellyn, now 80 years old.
Wow.
He definitely looks 80, but who cares?
And he's got a broken leg.
Yeah, he's cute. But the little tidbit of trivia, they said he wasn't great with remembering lines at this point, and it's very technical stuff, so you can understand that.
Yeah, he's 80 years old,
So
too.
they gave him a series of cue cards off camera.
Nice.
That's not even my joke. That's what they said. They
That's
said
funny.
cue cards. Bond shows sympathy for Q's leg injury, and Bond asks skiing, and Q shoots the rocket out of the cast and says, hunting. He misses, though. He does miss the target, it looked like. He was supposed to hit the dummy.
You know, the other thing is, I love how they continue the joke of, like, all of these weapons indoors in the lab. They're shooting a missile.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what could go wrong? Just other people are, like, shuffling papers.
Yeah.
You know, and he just shoots a missile out of the cast.
Q shows Bond his new BMW, which is a Z3 Roadster.
So I do
Beautiful
remember, it's a very cool car. And I remember what a big deal it was that they were going to have this German car in the Bond movie. And I'm assuming BMW paid to have it in
Oh,
there
yeah.
because this was a prototype, so they had to even provide it because the car hadn't been released yet.
Yeah. Yeah, but I remember seeing it on the streets. I know that was a super popular car
It was when it came
amongst
out.
those
Yeah.
that could afford it, of course.
Yeah. And interestingly, kind of a British Roadster style car,
Yeah.
right? The short convertible with the long front, you know.
Yeah. Q has a little line here. May I remind you, 007, you have a license to kill, not to break the traffic laws. Because I think Bond was just talking about, speeding around the corners and stuff.
And
Now-
there are Stinger missiles behind the headlights.
Yeah.
When's the last time we heard about Stinger missiles?
Oh, the last movie.
I know.
We
It
get our
must have been a very popular missile at the time.
Yeah. We get our little gadget time. We just get a belt with a rope. And then in the background, we have this telephone booth that the guy's in it, and it just inflates
A phone
and
booth.
crushes him.
Yes. Phone booth airbag, as I
Yeah.
wrote. I know. That is pretty funny. But are we supposed to think the guy was testing it, or did he know the airbag was going to
That's a good
inflate?
question.
Or did they, like, hey, Jim, go over there and answer that phone?
That's probably what it was.
Exactly.
We do get our one main gadget of this movie, which is the exploding pin. And Bond makes a little quip, the pin is mightier than the sword. And what is Q says some line. Oh, he says thanks to me. Because of me
Yeah.
it is. And then he demonstrates to Bond. He arms the pin because you click it 3 times to arm it, and then
Yeah.
you click it 3 more to disarm it. Clicks it 3 times, puts it on the dummy, and blows it up. And Q looks at Bond and says, "Don't say it." And of course, Bond, we get a quip. The writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
And then Q gets a quip, and the rest of him.
Yes. That was good. And then we see them carting the phone booth with the guy stuck in
Yes.
it past the camera.
Not only, and then after that, they're chit chatting there, and there's a woman in the background sitting in a chair, and she gets ejected and flies 20 feet back. And apparently, on the 3rd take of that, she actually did get injured and had to wear bandages for 2 to 3 days after.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They do dangerous stuff
They
in
do.
there.
and then Bond tries to steal Q's lunch.
Yes.
That's a very big sub sandwich.
Yeah.
Hope he ate that whole thing. What a waste. We now go to St. Petersburg. Some of this was filmed on location, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, the Soviet
been to
Union
Russia?
was gone. I have not been to Russia.
My stepfather's been there. He's got some beautiful pictures of more Moscow than St. Petersburg, but yeah, he's been there.
You mean Leningrad?
Was that? Oh yeah, St.
That's what
Petersburg,
St.
was
Petersburg
Leningrad. Yeah,
was Leningrad before. Yeah, my mother's been to Russia as well, I believe, but I have not been there. I don't think I'd go now.
probably not now. No. Bond meets with CIA agent Jack Wade, and this was, like I said, Joe Don Baker, who was Brad Whitaker in Living Daylights, the arms dealer.
Yeah.
They do they're trying to do their normal code thing about the weather and stuff, and Jack he doesn't care.
He doesn't want to do it. Yeah.
And so Bond eventually confronts him on it and puts a gun to him and makes him do the code. So then he does the code, and then Bond makes Wade show him his tattoo that's right above his buttock, a rose tattoo.
What does the tattoo say, Mike?
What does it say?
It says Muffy.
That's right, Muffy.
And do you know what Muffy is the preppy handbook nickname for? What woman's name?
I don't.
Michelle.
Oh.
And 2 houses down from us was a girl named Muffy in my neighborhood growing up. That's probably why I know that, because she was Michelle, but she went by Muffy. But that's what's in the preppy handbook, which is a funny book because it was written kind of as a joke, and then people, used it as if it was real.
Did Michelle play piano song? Play piano song? Play piano song?
No.
This has been, I don't think we had this last episode. This has been an episode of Charlie's Way Older Than Mike. I don't think anybody's named Michelle anymore.
Well, maybe not.
And I think Muffy is older.
And many people, I think, have forgotten the preppy handbook was actually a thing that existed and that people read.
I got to look at that now. It's
Yeah,
like Margaret and Peggy.
Margaret that's
and
one
Peggy
where
is
you
the
think,
other
how
one.
could that possibly have... Yeah, you have to look it up. Look it up, people. Now you can find these things out. But yeah, preppy handbook. That's why I wear my penny loafers without socks.
My God. This has been a second consecutive episode of Charlie's way older than Mike. We get a brief shot of Natalia at the train station. Back to Wade and Bond. Just like Charlie, Wade is trying to repair his crappy car. Charlie's been going through some struggles lately.
We're on week 4 of Charlie having to drive a 1985 Toyota Celica convertible because his newer car is still in the shop.
Which is what, a 2009?
2007.
2007 BMW.
Yeah.
So that's got some age on it now.
It does, but it's a stick shift. And it's hard to buy a stick shift car anymore. So you can't just go out and buy another one. And I'm not going to like any of the cars better. I want it to keep lasting.
I'm looking forward to seeing Charlie in tears when he has to buy an automatic.
I know. I also don't drive very much. So I don't want to go buy an expensive stick shift car when I don't really have to drive that much.
Yeah.
Well, I want to. But once the money starts rolling in from the podcast, then it'll be fine.
I'll probably get a DB5 or a Z3 Roadster once the money starts rolling in.
Z3 would be fun.
That would be
At this point, especially because it's old, and that would be super cool.
Speaking of the BMW, by the way, Pierce Brosnan actually was not driving the stick properly, and he was like messing up the gears on...
Oh, wow.
No, I'm sorry. It was on the Aston Martin. He was messing up the gears on the Aston Martin as he was driving it.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Because that's a classic.
Right.
Maybe, I wonder why. Maybe because it's so old, maybe it's harder to drive that stick, right? It's not a modern...
Maybe.
I don't know. I would like to give it a shot and see if I could drive it better than Pierce Brosnan. If any of you out there listening to us have an Aston Martin DB5, let me know because I would like to.
Yeah, just send us an email. We'll pay for you to come out to our homes and let us
and we'll
know.
even film this so like you and your car can be famous and watched by all of our viewers.
Yeah, and you can join the podcast. We'll let you join an episode with us.
Definitely. We'll spring for a third microphone.
Yes, I will buy a third microphone easily.
Bring a bottle of Bollinger with you too.
Please do. Yes, absolutely. Jack Wade, like I said, trying to repair this car. His car is a ZAZ 965A Zaprosets.
Nice.
That sounded good.
That did sound good. Nice work.
Yeah.
I know.
Maybe you just need to sledgehammer your car to fix it. Just
I know,
like he
right?
does.
That was pretty good. I mean, nobody's in the car turning the key to start the car, but it does just start right up.
It was very nice.
It was funny.
They're discussing a contact that's going to help Bond by the name, I believe, Zukowski. Yes, Zukovsky, sorry.
Yeah.
And Wade's talking about how he has a limp and Bond knows who it is. And Wade's like, how do you know? He's like, well, I gave him the limp.
Yeah, that was a good line.
So Natalia goes into this computer store.
I know.
It must have been a CompUSA.
Oh, my gosh.
What was the other one? There was two. There was CompUSA and another one. It's like Office Depot and Office Max.
Yeah,
There's
I
always
know.
two.
Oh, man, I wish you hadn't asked me because now I'm struggling. We'll come up with it.
We'll do errors and omissions next week.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
She orders several high-end PCs that have 500 megabyte
She wants the IBM compatibles.
Yes, and she wants 500 megabyte hard drives and 14.4 modems.
Oh, yeah.
We're not talking 20. We don't even have 28.8.
No.
We have 14.4 modems.
You ready for another episode of Charlie is Older Than Mike?
Absolutely.
I had a 300 baud modem.
Wow.
And I think that was as good as it could get at the time.
For all of our listeners, meaning everybody under the age of 40, what does 14.4 mean?
It must be megabits per second, right?
So basically, if you took a modern photo and sent it over a 14.4 modem, you would probably get it within a year.
Right. Which is why it took so long for people to download back in the day their naked pictures from the internet.
Yeah. I don't even think about downloading a video.
No,
I mean, you might as well just set that up overnight.
What are you, insane? Exactly. And then the phone line will drop sometime overnight and it won't actually work. I know.
I need to get the sound effect right here of dial up to put in at this spot.
Definitely, because that's a classic sound.
Natalia's chatting
Wait,
with...
hang on.
Go ahead.
Also a CD-ROM drive.
Oh, it has to be CD-ROM.
She
yes.
asked for a CD-ROM drive. Yep.
High-end stuff.
Yeah,
Now, we did see a CD-ROM in License to Kill.
we did.
But it was like a little disc. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and it was kind of gold colored.
Yeah.
It was pretty wild.
Okay, let's go back to, the present. Not stop talking about nostalgic stuff from the 90s. Natalia.
Oh, you mean such as this movie Goldeneye, which was made in 1995?
Yes. We're way too knowledgeable about this stuff. That's the problem.
I know.
Natalia's chatting with Boris about escaping that chaos at the...
Well,
facility.
she's got to test the computer, supposedly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's talking about Goldeneye being taken.
And they're sending emails.
Yeah.
And I wrote Dork reads email.
Bond and Wade are driving to meet Valentin Zukovsky, who is an ex-KGB agent. And Wade's talking about how Bond's probably going to get killed. And Bond replies, make sure they send me home first class.
And then, as I wrote, Bond points gun at Hagrid.
Nice. You're a wizard, James. Oh, wait, that's not right.
Right.
Natalia then is at a church looking for Boris, and it turns out that Boris is in league with Ourumov and Onatop. So Natalia gets taken for the first time.
Do you think he was in league with them before he went to smoke the cigarette and they didn't kill him? Or do you think he was in league with them the whole time?
Oh, I think he was in league the whole time. Yes.
Okay.
I
so
think
he knew what was happening.
He's out there smoking a cigarette.
He went to smoke so he wouldn't get
Yes.
EMP'd.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. I can accept that.
Bond goes to this little club where he meets Zukovsky, and he pulls a gun on him, and Zukovsky says, I believe only 3 men use that gun. I've killed 2 of them.
Yeah.
We get a nice cameo here by Minnie Driver singing Stand By Your Man.
Very awfully.
Very terribly. Now, what's funny is I listened to the commentary. They were talking about, we wanted to get a really good singer to sing really badly. Because Minnie Driver can sing.
Mm-hmm,
She is a good singer. Her greatest role, of course, is Good Will Hunting. For anybody that has not seen it. Have you seen Good Will Hunting, Charlie?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I would hope so.
I have, yes.
I know there's a lot of blind spots for you, but I would assume you've seen that.
No, I saw that in the theater. It was very good.
Amazing movie. And Bond says, who's strangling the cat? And that kind of pisses off Zukovsky.
It does. And he shoots right between Bond's legs
Yes.
into the couch.
So Bond does ask Zukovsky for a favor, despite, Bond giving him this limp. He wants 200 pounds of C4 that he exchanges with another party to get some money. So Bond's favor is that he wants to meet the head of Yanis Corp. Zukovsky tells him that Yanis is the head of Yanis is a Cossack who worked with the Germans against the Russians during World War II. So basically, they were on the side of the Nazis against the communists because they hated communists.
Right.
And then they ultimately betrayed the Nazis, and the British were supposed to help them. We get this kind of background a little later.
It's confusing.
The British were supposed to help them, but then the British betrayed them back to the Russians.
Yeah, then obviously the Russians were kind of tough on.
And we'll talk a little
their
more about that
detractors.
later because it's part of the plot.
But it's a real thing that happened?
Yes.
Okay. I figured it was.
We now go to that night in St. Petersburg. Bond is night swimming, which deserves a quiet night. That's not the first time I made that joke.
I have respect for anybody who gets that joke.
Yeah.
And in an octagonal pool with
cool set.
Pillars.
Really cool little set.
Are those the Doric or the iambic or the Corinthian columns, I wonder?
I couldn't tell you.
No.
The Pythagorean. Oh, wait, that's a triangle.
What's so funny is I remember in grade school or junior high or something learning the difference between the Dorian and the Corinthian and stuff. Why did they teach us that stuff? What is the point of knowing that?
It's like the 3 cloud types. Cumulus, whatever, and whatever.
Yeah.
Onatop comes in. Bond.
That actually comes into play much more often, though.
Yeah.
I see clouds all the time, and
Cumulus, Cirrus, and
maybe knowing what kind of cloud could possibly be helpful. I don't know,
this one
but
means it might rain soon.
I know, right?
Bond pulls his gun on Onatop. Onatop says, "You don't need the gun, Commander." And Bond gets a little quip here. That depends on your definition of safe sex.
Yeah. Great safe sex joke.
Yeah.
I mean, very timely, I suppose.
Yes.
I wrote down amazing hair for Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when he gets out of the pool, he still looks good.
Probably the
and
best hair of any Bond so far.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, the very first Bond didn't actually have hair and had to wear a hairpiece,
Yes.
right? So he's not going to win. But
This is the kind of talk that expands our demographic. Hair talk, where we talk about hair. I'm not saying any gender or anything. I'm just saying hair talk, an expansion of it.
probably. But
We get-
there's quite a scene in this, like, I guess it's the sauna room or something.
Yes. We get some slapping, not really any tickling. With Onatop.
No, she's not big on the tickling,
No.
but the slapping she seems to love.
Yes. Onatop tries to get the squeeze on Bond, but he does get the best of her. Takes out a henchman during all this. Gets his gun back and then looks at her. And we have my favorite quip of the movie, probably. No more foreplay.
Yeah.
It's great. Just the way he
good.
delivers it, because he's like, no. No more foreplay.
So he's aiming the gun at her with his left hand.
Okay.
Back to, like, kind of the eye thing.
Yes.
But I don't think he's left-handed.
I mean, he's Bond. He's
But I
ambidextrous.
read somewhere that he injured his hand somehow during the filming of this.
That's right. No, it wasn't during the filming. It was some weird freak accident at his house.
Okay.
He was like pulling his towel off of the towel rack
Yeah.
and it snapped or something, and somehow he pulled a tendon in his finger. Yes, thank you. You're reminding me of all this that I read. This scene was one of the early scenes filmed.
Okay.
So it was like he had to go like the first 20 days of shooting, he couldn't do any like heavy stuff,
Yeah.
especially with his hand. So yes, that is exactly
he's holding
why
it in
he's
his
using
left
his
hand.
left hand.
I also noticed his watch is still on. That'll come up later.
Okay.
And he was he was in all these ads for Omega watches, wearing
Yeah.
the Omega Seamaster. And you can see that watch on his arm, like he was swimming with it. It's a Seamaster, so
Yeah.
I guess that's okay. But he wears it during some other interesting times. But yeah, you can see he's aiming with his left hand. And I'm like, I immediately think Pierce Brosnan's left-handed because, I can't watch movies without trying
Yes,
to ruin
of
them
course.
by thinking about things in real life.
Right. So Bond gets the better of Onatop, and he basically wants to go meet this Giannis guy.
Yeah, so did his whole meeting with Hagrid accomplish anything?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't feel
'Cause
like
it's
it played any role.
because Onatop was
Yeah,
attacking.
she's going to kill him.
a
So
good question.
I don't know.
This
But
is-
yeah,
this is truly where Charlie ruins the movie.
I know. But yeah, she ends up driving him there. And then Bond Captain Kirks her.
With his judo chop.
Yes, when she's sitting in the front seat.
So this is an interesting thing. I'll go ahead and talk about it a little bit here. You'll notice that they didn't show, so early in the movie, they didn't show 006 getting shot in the head, obviously.
Right.
They didn't show Bond actually hitting Onatop on the back of the head to knock her out.
You see him hit, but I assume it's not
Yeah,
actually
you just
her.
see
'Cause
his hand motion.
it would
You don't
kinda
see a
hurt.
head or anything.
Also, there was like a headrest there that would make it very hard for you to do it.
Yes.
But then they kind of pull back and you see her just slumped over.
So whereas in America, we don't want any sex because we're prudish pilgrims.
Right.
In Britain, they don't want any violence.
Okay.
So a lot of the censoring was the violent stuff in this one.
So all the
And-
shooting of people was fine. But
Well, there's no blood.
I know.
That was the
Okay.
thing. So there was no
Interesting.
blood. Yeah. So that's why when you and it works fine. You don't think about this kind of stuff as you're watching the movie, but
even I didn't think about that.
knocks
although-
her out,
Yeah.
and that's how they
Because
got
I was thinking of Captain Kirk.
right. That's how they get a 12 instead of a 15 rating on this one.
Okay. And then he says, "Sweet dreams."
Yeah. He goes to meet Giannis, and it's revealed that Giannis is Alec Trevelyan.
Now, where's he?
006.
Where are they meeting?
Some communist graveyard.
To me, I wrote Lenin Statue Garden. Like, I think that was where in St. Petersburg, which was Leningrad. I
Okay.
assumed that was supposed to be the place where they tore all the Lenin statues down and put them in this place.
Okay.
And my assumption was that was the place. So it was kind of a creepy, weird place
It
that he was
was.
walking through. It was very dark and creepy looking.
Kind of a callback to the opening credits too. I feel like they showed kind of some
Yeah.
of those images.
But then I also wrote, now right-handed, because he had his gun in his right hand.
Much later in the shooting process.
Yeah.
So it turns out 006 was a Cossack. His mother and father tried to defect to England, but because they ended up, being betrayed by the British, his father committed suicide after killing his mother.
Apparently, that is
To avoid
disturbing.
to avoid the purges of Stalin.
Yeah. I have several questions about
Okay.
this. First of all, he mentions they're both orphans. Is Bond an orphan?
That's the first time they've said that.
Okay, I thought it was. And is that in the books? I have not heard anything about his past in the
That's
books
not
so
ringing
far.
a bell in the books.
Yeah. So I wonder if they just made it up for this movie.
They may have.
It was
but it's
fascinating.
not the last time.
It was a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
But I just listened to Diamonds Are Forever,
Yeah.
which I'll actually bring up a little later
Okay.
in this. But I thought that was interesting, that whole story he goes on. And also, I just want to make sure we're clear. So Sean Bean was a bad guy all the way back at the chemical weapons facility?
Yes.
Or, okay, so he was a bad guy the whole time, but they killed a bunch of Russians.
I thought about that too. Like all those guys died.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know if we're supposed to think that he was a good guy and then they actually didn't kill him and then they indoctrinated him. But
No.
I think
He was a bad guy
always a
from the
bad guy.
start, yes.
But he went along with this whole thing with Bond where they killed a bunch of guys.
Yes.
But then I thought, were they blanks in the guns? But then Bond would notice if you were shooting blanks
Yeah.
out of the guns, right? He would notice
Bond
that the
wouldn't
guys
have
aren't
blanks.
actually dying.
Yeah.
So that's how committed the general was.
And this was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how committed they were to getting this British agent 006 on their side, that they killed a bunch of their own guys and let them be killed.
I should say too with 006 that his face was all scarred.
Yeah.
And he mentions how he's pissed that Bond dropped
Set
the
the timer
timers to
to
3 minutes,
3
instead of
minutes,
6.
yes.
Yeah.
He
Which
was.
is referenced one more time later.
I believe it is. But it is interesting.
Yeah.
I was trying to consider all those things when I saw Sean Bean come back
Yeah.
to life. Wait a minute. He went along with this thing and they killed a bunch
I
of
most
Russian
certainly
guys.
thought about all those
But I
guys
guess
dying.
Ornov kills a bunch of Russian guys all the time, so he doesn't.
I mean, he shot that one guy just for,
Yeah, and then he
shooting as a
kills
gun.
all the people in the
Yes.
Goldeneye facility and all that stuff. So I guess he has no compunction about just like randomly killing people who are presumably on his side. And what is his side?
Money.
I guess so,
It has
right?
to be
It's
money.
pretty wild.
Eventually, Bond is shot with a dart to knock him out. And he wakes up with Natalia in a helicopter. Natalia's screaming her head off. And she lost her voice doing this. There
Oh,
were
really?
several takes, and she
Yeah.
did end up losing her voice over
Oh,
it.
wow. And Bond is being killed in the most direct way you can
Of course,
possibly
yeah. You could
kill
have
a
just
person.
shot him in the head, but
I
no.
know.
Well, I think maybe there's some kind of point to that when it's like, oh, they discover them in this helicopter, this stolen helicopter. Wow, they must have done it. I don't know. We'll say that's what it was.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Go for it.
As the missile,
They're in Russia, Mike.
Yeah.
They're the ones who already said this was a training accident.
Yeah. So the missiles get fired, and they're going to turn around and destroy the helicopter.
Once again, the slowest missiles ever
Yes.
fired.
Because Bond's using his head to try and hit the ejector that's
Yeah.
conveniently up by his head. And he hits it, and they get thrown out of the helicopter as it explodes, and they land.
I'm curious how an ejection seat in a helicopter going straight up into the rotors
Doesn't hit the propeller.
is actually working. And thank goodness it's an ejection seat that actually has its own propellant underneath.
Yeah. Well, I guess we could say, I mean, at least the propellers obviously weren't on, so you could say that.
At this time, they weren't. But I know. This is an episode of Charlie Ruins the Movie.
Yes.
And by the way, when the ejection seats land, Bond is able to just very simply remove his hands from the constraints that we're holding in and preventing him from stopping the missiles.
We get a little quip where Bond says, the things we do for frequent flyer mileage.
That was pretty good. It made me think, when was frequent flyer mileage invented as a thing, right? Because it became big, I think, in the 80s and 90s. But
Bond's chatting with Natalia, and he sees that her watch isn't working. So he, at this point, he knows she was the other survivor at Severnaya. And then
we also know then that she has a quartz watch, not a mechanical watch.
And then
But why did they destroy their own helicopter that they worked so hard to steal? Why did they steal the helicopter?
So they could get to the facility and escape the facility without the EMP hitting it. Because that was the whole thing. That helicopter is invulnerable to the EMP.
All right.
No, I think that holds up. That part holds up.
Okay.
Try not to ruin every part of it.
They could have just had a dog sled, Mike.
Okay.
I mean, dog sled is not affected by the EMP.
You never know.
That was a really long episode of Charlie Ruins the Movie, by the way, and I ruined it completely there. All right, let's go.
The Russians then arrest Bond and Natalia. So next morning we go to St. Petersburg. The defense minister arrives to interrogate Bond and Natalia, threatens execution, asks for the Goldeneye, and Ourumov arrives to protest. And
well, they tell the defense minister that Ourumov is the guy behind it first, right? So he knows that Ourumov, they're like, we don't have the Goldeneye. And Bond makes a quip about how no one uses good interrogation techniques anymore.
Yeah. Natalia gets pissed off with Bond and the defense minister going back and forth.
That's right.
I think she could have done a better line there. Like, stop having a pissing contest.
It wasn't that great. You boys and your toys.
Yeah, boys and your toys. But eventually Ourumov comes in and he just pulls his gun and kills the soldier that's guarding them, and then he kills the defense minister. Why he doesn't just kill Bond and Natalia here, who knows?
Well, because the movie would have been too short.
But Bond gets the better of him, gets the chair, knocks him over, gets a fight, and then escapes with Natalia. And then Bond and Natalia dodge the soldiers. Good use of the theme song here.
It is good. There's another good use later I'll bring up.
But eventually Natalia does get captured, and Bond escapes out a window.
Well, they go in the archives.
Yes.
You're not going to mention the archives, because I love the archives
like Raiders
scene.
of the Lost Ark.
Yeah,
Archives.
right. I love the archive scene. They knock over all those bookshelves to block the door, and they're running on the second floor of those archives with like a metal mesh floor that apparently like 75 guys shooting machine guns are unable to shoot up through the floor and hit them. But it's a pretty cool scene. I like the scene, right? Where they're running around in there.
I'm pretty sure listening to the commentary, even the director and the producer was like, these floors have no, they have holes in them.
Right, they're just mesh metal.
Yes.
I mean, the bullets would go right through.
Yeah.
And with 75 guys shooting, they would probably hit him. But I still, I like that scene. And it's a cool room that I wish I could go in, that they probably built specifically for this movie. Can you imagine how many books and things they had to get to put in those bookshelves, and how many bookshelves they had to bring in or build to do that?
And they were probably all Tolstoy, so they were really heavy.
That's right.
Ourumov's car, by the way,
is
a GAZ 31029 Volga Saloon.
Ah.
The good old saloon.
Nice Soviet car.
As numerous soldiers are pursuing him, Bond decides to hijack a tank.
As you will.
Which is another great use of the Bond theme.
Yeah. Oh, the music they play while he's stealing the tank is great. And driving that tank through town is pretty awesome. And I read a little tidbit that, some of the filming was in Russia, but the Russians still, even though they're not Soviet, had very tight control over what could be done. And then when they were watching some of the scenes where he blows through those buildings and stuff, like they were protesting like they're destroying our city, but of course those were filmed on a set in England. But it's pretty, the tank chase is awesome.
It is. And I have a little crew comment here. There's somebody by the name of Jamie Russell who I couldn't find exactly who they were on the crew, but they said stuntman Gary Powell drove the tank during various chase sequences. To help produce an illusion of speed and maneuverability, the second unit shot the vehicle at a variety of frame rates, sometimes as low as 16 or 18 frames per second, down from the usual 24. Because it's like some of those scenes where he's like swinging it around and going through that one building.
Yeah, because tanks aren't necessarily all that fast.
Exactly.
But the tank chase is excellent.
Oh, yeah. We get many tank hijinks
occurring. Oh, I mean, it blows through buildings to follow him down that alley. It crushes cars constantly.
Unfortunately, the Russians brought guns to a tank fight. And that's one of those times where the guns aren't going to win.
No, exactly. I love when he meets them on that one street and they all start going in reverse as fast as possible to escape the tank.
We do get a great scene, and this was done on set, of course. This wasn't in St. Petersburg, where we have this Perrier truck that's just stopped conveniently right in front of the tank, and the tank plows through it and destroys all of the Perrier cans.
It was great.
It was awesome. Let me just give you a little snippet here first. They had to like empty like almost all of those cans before they set up the scene so that it would all explode or, crash easily.
Right, because if they were full, like that's tons of water, right?
Literally.
Water's very heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it would probably just fall to the ground because it's so heavy. But they did a good job filming it because you see that Perrier truck stop in that roundabout and then the tank crashes through, but you don't, like, your mind isn't thinking this isn't the same place in that roundabout with that Perrier truck right there. They do a good job because normally that's something I would think about.
Yes.
And I didn't. It was just great seeing that tank come through. Just like it was good at the beginning of the tank chase. Seeing that tank crash through that wall to be right behind the car is so awesome.
Bond gets a hood ornament or a roof ornament as he drives through in this like horse
statue with a guy on it. Yeah.
And then the coolest, I mean, this is so Bond that it's unreal. He's going along in the tank and he straightens his tie as he's going along. Perfect Bond stuff.
I wrote a just tie, so debonair.
And this isn't even the best Pierce Brosnan tie straighten. There's going to be another one that's even better in a subsequent movie.
It was very good. I read that they had to like cut a hole in that tank to have, because that's not the real driving position.
Yeah.
So they had to, but the tank chase is great.
It's great. Eventually, we see they're going to this train where Ourumov and Onatop escort Natalia to it, and Bond is pursuing his tank. And Natalia is brought in to meet 006. Did this train look like Sam the Eagle from the Muppets to you? Because it sure did to me.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Actually, you know what's funny? I have two things written down, and neither of them are Sam the Eagle, but I love Sam the Eagle.
Yes.
I wrote Darth Vader train, and I wrote Easter Island heads.
Nice. Okay, that's amazing, because the crew called it the Darth train.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome. Yes.
But it looked like the Easter Island head, too, with like the big nose and everything.
I couldn't stop picturing
the train
Sam
was
the
awesome.
Eagle, though. But maybe because I love Sam the Eagle.
This is what reminded me of Diamonds Are Forever book.
Yes.
Because they get in a very special train with a very, very special front end to chase Bond and Tiffany Case as they're escaping. So, and I just finished it. So that's what I immediately thought of. Like, this guy has his own train, and that train is excellent, right? He goes... Now, fortunately, the tank is faster than the train and can get way ahead of where the train is going and park on the tracks.
Sam the Eagle.
That's a good one. I love that one. I mean,
Sam the Eagle's awesome. He's my second favorite Muppet behind Sweetums.
I wonder if our English fans will even know the Muppets and Sam the Eagle.
Look it up.
I'll find out.
Everybody. Bond ends up driving his train on the train tracks. Natalia is in the train. She slaps and definitely does not tickle Alec.
Yeah, because he's clearly okay with sexual assault.
Oh, yeah.
It's very disturbing in this day and age
Yeah.
to watch him go after her, but fortunately she slaps him and then the alarm goes off
Yes.
before anything can happen.
So Alec and Onatop see that Bond is on the tracks, and then once again, we get Onatop like creaming herself
Wow.
about Bond possibly derailing the train.
She's like really, really into the
Yes.
S&M, obviously.
Yes. The train is stopped and Bond arrives.
Well, I mean, it smashes into the...
Okay, yeah. It smashes the tank. Bond's no longer on it.
Well, first Bond fires from the tank, and the
Yes.
front of the metal train catches on fire for some odd reason.
Right.
But then the train smashes into the tank, and as you would expect, it derails
Yes.
the train.
So Bond hops onto the plane. 006 tells him, "Why can't you just be a good boy and die?"
That's a good one.
Oramov brings...
But Bond gets on that train pretty quick.
He does.
From the crash.
He does.
But that's okay.
Oramov brings Natalia in. Bond bluffs by saying he doesn't care if she dies. And...
Even though she apparently tastes like strawberries.
So we get this little back and forth, and then Bond kills Oramov while 006 and Onatop
Escape.
escape.
Yeah, you could only kill one of the people
Yes.
because somebody, right?
So now everything gets like shut down. So Bond and Natalia are stuck on there, and Natalia's trying to... I guess Boris is doing this. He's like locking the train down to blow it up.
I guess so.
Natalia tries to spike Boris, while Bond tries to get them out of the train.
Using his Omega watch, which has a nice laser in it.
Of course.
Laser.
And Alec contacts Bond and says that he set the timer for 6 minutes. So Bond, this
Yes.
is our foreshadow.
What does that mean? It means we have 3 minutes.
It means we have 3 minutes. This is back to the beginning of the movie. It was nice of Alec to give him 3 minutes to figure out how to escape. Very considerate.
Thank goodness, right? Instead of blowing it up right away.
Yes. Boris gets spiked by Natalia after Bond figures out the earlier, quiz of
Yes, the
what
chair.
can you sit on that you can't take with you.
Yes.
You can take a chair with you. Why can't you?
I know.
But it's chair. See, I thought lap, but lap's only 3 letters.
Well, you don't sit on the lap. Well, you can, but
You
that's
sit
like
on your lap, or somebody sits on your
someone
lap.
can sit on your lap. That's a whole other.
Well,
I mean, that's a good Bond thing, right?
Yes, of
like
course.
I think he's all over that.
Would you let Onatop sit on your lap? I don't know. She'd probably kill you.
I think she would. She'd get a little too much pleasure out of hurting me.
Yes. So Natalia's got the spike, and she finds out that Boris is in Cuba, and then the train explodes. Now, the scene where Bond and Natalia are running from the train as it's exploding, that was them. That was Pierce Brosnan and Isabella. I'm sorry, I don't remember her last name off the top of my head.
Rossellini.
Sure. No. Boy, she would have been a great Bond girl in the 80s. They run away. But that's them running away as it's exploding. So that was pretty cool.
And what I was thinking, I wrote running from explosion. I was thinking, in acting school, do you think they have a running from explosion and dying, like a whole semester? Do you think you take a semester on running from an explosion and dying? Because it's so classic, right? Running away from something you know is going to explode, and then you dive at the exact right time for the flames to be behind you, but not hurt you. But it was awesome.
Yes. So now Bond and Natalia have this chemistry, this, there's a spark there.
When you've almost died together, like I think probably...
As we've seen in many Bond movies.
Yeah, that moves things along in the relationship when you're trying to be killed together and you think you may be dead at any moment.
Yeah. So we're going to say slap and tickle number 2. And this one's with Natalia.
I think so.
Now we go to Cuba. Bond and Natalia cruising in the BMW.
So are they in Cuba?
They are in Puerto Rico filming because that dish is in Puerto Rico.
It is, but what I'm asking is, are they even supposed to be in Cuba? Because so next we see them in the Z3, which is cool,
Mm-hmm.
and we see the plane landing
Mm-hmm.
from what's
We'll
his
get
name?
there in a second.
Okay, go for it. But I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay. Jack Wade flies over them, lands in front of them. I did want to talk about this real quick. The
Okay.
plane flying over the BMW, they shot that flyover 10 times.
Oh.
The pilot that did that, he's 73 years old.
Oh, wow.
He did it perfect almost every time.
Wow. Because it looked dangerous.
Yeah. So what's your question about this Cuba thing?
So that he lands the plane, and it's a pretty good exchange where he asks Jack, why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here. I like that. He talks about the CIA knows nothing about this. No
Yes.
one knows anything
Yes.
about it, but you're allowed to fly. But he says something about going 80 miles and turning left, which makes me think they're not in Cuba. They're in somewhere you can fly to Cuba in 80 miles, right? Because how far is Cuba off
90.
the coast?
It's about 90.
Yeah.
But left doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, if you flew south, then
You're
turn
ruining the movie again.
left. I know.
This is like the 7th
How do you
time.
get a Z3 into Cuba, though?
I don't know. You go to Guantanamo Bay and drop it off.
I guess. All right.
Jack brings a gift from Q, and Jack says the CIA has no involvement in this.
Yeah. And he asks if he's checked.
Yes. So Jack's concerned about Natalia because obviously she's Russian. Did you check her out? We get a quip here. Bond says head to toe.
That's a good one.
And then Wade drives off in the BMW, and Wade says something like he's just going to drive and bomb around.
Yes.
Because Bond tells him not to touch it.
Don't touch all the things in there. Yeah.
Later, we get Bond and Natalia on the beach discussing 006. Natalia's pissed because Bond is super macho man that, doesn't want to get in touch with his feelings.
I know. She's upset that he's doing all these things and killing people.
Yeah.
She's a systems programmer on a Russian weapon that is meant to disable all the electronics so that Russia can attack someone.
Yeah.
But she's upset that Bond is involved in some type of,
Right.
violence.
Ultimately, though, we get more slap and tickle with
We get
Natalia.
a perfect sunset.
Yes.
We get a fire lit in the house they're in presumably Cuba, because it's so cold there that you definitely need a fire in the fireplace in the bedroom.
They did build that entire house just for this scene. They said it was because this was all in Puerto Rico. It was all filmed in Puerto Rico. And it took them forever to find a place to have this little beach scene and everything, but they eventually found one.
Puerto Rico, which is America, in case anyone wonders.
Some people don't know that.
I know.
We're not a political podcast. Okay, moving on.
No, but it is America.
Yes, it is. So Natalia does ask Bond about that bluff that he made about not caring about her, and Bond says, yes, always call their bluff.
While he's wearing his watch in bed.
Of course. I always
Do you wear your watch to bed,
Yeah,
Mike?
because, I have a watch that definitely doesn't need charged or anything.
I know. But he wears that watch when he's swimming. He wears it when he's in bed.
Yeah.
He never takes that watch off.
Interesting story. When I first got my very first smartwatch, it was like Apple Watch 1 or Apple Watch 2. I went to a wedding, and I had a few too many drinks, and I could not stop doing the James Bond theme song showing people my watch.
Nice. But did it have a laser?
No, it did not. We get Bond and Natalia flying over Cuba looking for the satellite. We see a missile taking out the plane for a crash landing.
Well, it doesn't take it out.
It doesn't.
It
completely
fortunately hits the wing and barely does
Yes.
any damage.
so that it has to land.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to stop here and talk about all of, because we've seen enough of these now. This was a real place. This is this satellite dish is in Puerto Rico. It's not submerged underwater.
No.
But many of these shots, including the flyover shots in the plane, were models that were built to 50th scale. So let's talk about a guy by the name of Derek Meddings. Now, if you watch the credits, you'll see that this movie was dedicated to Derek Meddings, who died in September when this movie came out in November.
Oh, wow.
Derek Meddings did all of the models for this. It is insane how many models he did that looked perfect. He did the models in Siberia, like the satellite dish and
satellite
everything.
dish in the facility.
He did the tank in the tunnel. That was a model.
Oh, wow.
And he did all of the models. And I sent you the pictures of this.
Yeah.
These models looked absolutely incredible. This is a lost art that needs to come back because these models were absolutely amazing. So much better than AI, so much better than CGI. Bring back models because these were so awesome that you couldn't tell the difference between this is a model, this is, this is a digital shot, this is the real thing.
Yeah, because I had read that that was a real, it was like a telescope, a radio telescope.
Yeah.
And it was real, but clearly some of the shots wouldn't be real. Like they wouldn't actually fill it with water.
Yeah.
They wouldn't actually have the big apparatus come out of the water in the middle. But you really don't even think about it, right? Because they do such a good job, other than the one thing I'll point out.
We'll get to that in a minute. But
it is amazing.
I sent you one of the pictures.
The picture was incredible.
It's like you see the guy standing there and you look at this model and it's like, my God, that looks real. That's amazing.
And you know what I thought of when I saw it? I thought, when I watched the movie, I thought, look how real the sky looks in the shots where they're clearly with the model, right? How good does the sky looks real when you know they're in the model because like the water's going out of the thing or the big apparatus is coming out of the lake.
So Bond and Natalia are passed out after they crash land. Bond wakes up to, and this is in the jungle. He wakes up to Onatop getting one up on him.
Hang on. I got to tell you what was written here as a quote from my wife.
Okay.
When the plane crashes and they're in the jungle, she says, "Is Yoda going to come out?"
Try? There is no try.
There is no try.
Do or do not.
He should have just lifted his plane back up, right?
Yeah. You know what we haven't had yet, though, is a Simpsons reference.
No, we haven't. But Onatop shows up in a mesh sports bra.
Of course she does. Natalia tries to help Bond as Onatop's fighting him, and she gets knocked out with a very brutal gun to the face shot.
Yeah.
But then, so all this time, Onatop is still on her rope from the helicopter that dropped her down in there. So Bond shoots at the helicopter. It gets all crazy and then flies away and pulls Onatop up against a tree, and she gets crushed, squeezed to death on the tree. And
pretty good death scene.
Yes, it was. And Bond, of course, quips, she always did enjoy a good squeeze.
Yes, that was good.
We go now to the command center for this big satellite dish, and Alec is there ordering Boris around. Back to Bond. Bond sees the satellite emerge from the lake. Like I said, the lake was fake. That was all a model. The satellite is real, though.
But did you notice the water receding?
Yes.
Everything becomes dry instantly.
Of
and
course.
then when it's going down, when the water is finally going down, you see these big plumes of water. It was filmed in reverse, and they filled it with water.
I kind of thought that. The way it
because
looked,
it wouldn't dry
like
instantly,
yes.
right? And it wouldn't shoot up in the air
Yes.
when it's finally draining. So apparently they
sense.
filmed it in reverse because probably you're ruining the model when you fill it with water, right?
Yeah.
So, but still, it's pretty awesome when the stuff's coming out of there. I can't imagine all the tricks they had to do to show all of the big antenna pieces coming up out of that water. They
Yeah.
filmed him underwater, obviously, and then they show him coming up on top, and they had to look exactly like the real thing because later they're running on the real thing to
Yeah.
actually film it.
Yeah, that's the cool thing too, because like the satellite in Puerto Rico, they did film shots at that actual satellite. So
Yeah,
some of
it's
those
wild.
shots were from there.
And I
It's
read
it's seamless.
Yeah, and I read a little thing that Pierce Brosnan's afraid of heights, and that was not him at all running up on those big walkways and everything. It was a
Wow.
stuntman. But this isn't the first time a lake has obscured the lair or where
Right.
things are going to happen.
But that
right?
was
It was a
fake.
fake lake.
That was
But
fake.
still, it retracted.
That was you only live twice. Yeah. Alec gives Boris the Goldeneye and orders Bond to be killed.
Which will obviously happen.
Yeah, of
I
course.
wrote, this is where Bond dies.
The Goldeneye's target is going to be London, so they're going to EMP all of London.
Which will ruin all the electronics.
Right.
Okay.
Bond and Natalia slide down the dish, and Bond stops them before they fall into the hole. And then Alec starts the Goldeneye launch. And we go back.
Fortunately, when you fall down in the dish, you just open a door and go right into the lair.
Yes, of course. Bond and Natalia infiltrate the facility. Bond is intentionally captured, interrogated by 006 while he places a bomb during this. And Natalia's off on
Did
her
he
own.
have the bomb with him?
He did. Yeah.
Okay.
Natalia starts her little hack trying to get past Boris here. Alec disables the bomb with Bond's watch. That's the funny thing about these scenes is like they get stopped almost every time. But ultimately, the goal for Alec here is he's stealing money from the Bank of England. So they're going to set off this EMP.
Yeah.
Right before they do, they're going to take all this money out of the Bank of England. So at the end of the day, it's about capitalism, about getting a bunch of money, of course. And then they're going to set off the EMP so there's no trace.
And apparently the Bank of England is not really a bank with money in it.
Yeah.
Much like the Federal Reserve. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's not where the money is kept.
Natalia gets captured. She's brought in. And then she just lunges at Boris and beats the crap out of him. It's pretty funny.
That's pretty awesome.
And then we see, of course, the pin dropping. Alec threatens to kill Natalia. Bond bluffs and say, or I'm sorry, Alex.
No.
I'm sorry, opposite. Alec threatens to kill Bond. And Natalia.
To get Natalia to get back in the mainframe and fix everything.
Basically says the same thing Bond said earlier. Yeah. He means nothing to me. Boris says he's going to be able to figure out her codes or whatever. So while he's doing this, he's flipping his pen and he's clicking it and flipping it and clicking.
Bond's pen.
It's Bond's pen now. Yeah.
Yes, and we're wondering when is he going to explode.
Yeah. I really wish he would have exploded, but they didn't do it that way.
But he's invincible.
He is invincible for now. Eventually, though, the pin, Alec figures out the pin is a Q thing, and the pin gets knocked away and falls down into, I don't know, some crevasse that's got stuff on it.
Yeah.
And it blows up. So the whole facility then catches on fire from that explosion.
As facilities will
As
in
they
Bond
would,
movies.
yes. Then Bond and Natalia escape. We're on like some elevator where Natalia's playing dead so that the guard can come and check on her. And then Bond drops down, takes out the guard. And Bond runs to disable the satellite because the satellite's trying to get into position to fire the EMP. And Alec is pursuing him. Boris is working on, because
he's still trying to get in there. Because,
he's trying to get in there or to get the satellite in position.
Because, Alex has a guy point a gun to his head and said, if he moves, kill him.
Alec is shooting at Bond, again, with like these mesh walkways that he misses him every time. A 006, agent misses.
Yes.
007.
Oh, yeah, he's
Clearly 007's better. Bond does eventually jam the satellite. He sticks what was it? It was
some kind of a pole.
Some pole or something that stops the chain so the satellite can't move.
I liked how big those chains were and everything.
Alec and James then get into a fight. A lot of punching, and this was them. This was those two. This was Sean Bean and Pierce Brosnan going at it. They really wanted to make this look as real as possible.
Yeah.
So they're going back and forth. Eventually, Bond gets onto a ladder, escapes down a hatch, which is maybe not the best idea because that looks incredibly frightening.
Well, it was pretty cool because it's not just escaping down a hatch. He kicks this thing,
Yeah.
which makes this retractable
Makes it
ladder
drop. Yeah.
fall all the way down, and he's got to hold on this ladder, and
Yep.
he's, hundreds of feet above that radio telescope thing.
And then Alec starts going down the stairs. Then he does this cool thing where he just slides down and kicks Bond, and then Bond gets
As
knocked
people
onto this
do.
very tiny little platform under the ladder.
Yeah.
Bond and Alec go at it again. Bond finally gets the better of Alec, throws him off of that little platform, and he lands on the satellite. The fact that he didn't die instantly is pretty incredible to me because that looked like a pretty long fall.
Yeah,
on
I know.
his
They
back.
show him like he kind of regains consciousness
Yeah.
for a second.
So he's dropped on the satellite dish. The Boris can't get in time. The facility explodes.
Yeah,
And-
but Boris stands up and says, "I am invincible."
Not yet. Almost there. Alec is killed because everything starts to blow up, and then
Yeah.
the debris falls down, and Natalia comes along, hijacks a helicopter.
She
picks
was in
Bond
the
up,
back seat of the helicopter. Yeah.
picks Bond up. So the whole facility starts to drop, and then it just crashes right on top of Alec and kills him finally. Boris thinks he's escaped, so he stands up, says, "I am invincible," for like the third, fourth, fifth time in the movie.
Yeah.
And then all this like CO2 or whatever, nitrogen, liquid nitrogen,
Liquid nitrogen.
liquid
I would
nitrogen
assume. I don't know why they're storing it there in the facility.
explodes behind him, freezes him,
Yeah.
and then he just explodes into a million pieces. And then from there, Bond and Natalia are dropped on the ground from the helicopter, completely alone, of course,
But yes.
for some
very
slap
alone.
and tickle, of course.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, Jack Wade arrives and reveals that there's Marines like everywhere around them, hiding in the bush and everything.
And silent helicopters.
And silent helicopters.
Because you can't hear helicopters miles away.
No. These were real U.S. Marines.
Oh, wow.
Those were real Huey helicopters. I have a quote from Michael Wilson, the producer, stepson of Cubby Broccoli.
Mm-hmm.
The Marines make perfect extras. They bring their own uniforms, their own weapons, do their own makeup, and provide their own transportation.
Nice.
And then at the end, Wade says, maybe you'd like to continue debriefing at Guantanamo.
Yes.
That's the end of our movie. That's Goldeneye.
And then we hear the song "The Experience of Love" by Eric Sierra
Oh,
in
the
the
guy
closing
that did
credits.
the music. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that song.
No.
So there we go.
Yeah, good time.
Couple trivialities here. We already talked about Goldeneye being the name of Ian Fleming's estate in Jamaica. License to Kill was 1989. Goldeneye was 1995. We had a 6-year gap. There was legal wrangling over the rights of Bond. That resulted in Timothy Dalton. He walked away in 1994. MGM was bought by a company called Pathé Communications Corporation in 1990. They sold TV and video rights, and then it sparked a court battle with Danjack, which is Cubby Broccoli's company. And they didn't get it resolved until December of 1992.
And then they had to film and everything.
Yeah. Like I said, the film is dedicated to Derek Meddings. Did really good models. These models were amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
He also worked on 3 Superman movies. And like I said, he died in September
So did
1990.
he make like the Fortress of Solitude?
I think he
maybe?
did.
That
I
would
think
be
he did,
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome.
He died in September 1995 at the age of 63
Wow.
of cancer. He had been battling it for 5 years.
Wow.
So he worked on this entire movie,
Wow.
battling cancer. Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli at this point had kind of taken charge of production because Cubby Broccoli was not in good health. I believe he
Okay.
dies in 98.
Okay.
There were 140 digital effects shots in this one. Obviously, the
Interesting.
scene where you see 007 falling onto the satellite, it's a green screen. That's digital. It looked pretty good, though. I
Yeah.
really don't think there was anything in here that was like egregiously bad. Like, there's some
No.
movies that I watch. Like The Mummy from 1999, the CGI is terrible in that movie. So I thought it was pretty good in this one.
Yeah, I thought it was good too.
And that's it. Book comparisons. There is no book.
Yeah.
It's a completely original script. I know you have some comments. I just want to say real quick, I did start a book called Trigger Mortis by Anthony Horowitz. This is my first James Bond book, official James Bond book, not written by Ian Fleming.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty good so far. The funny thing about it, it's like it takes place immediately after Goldeneye. Pussy Galore's in it. It's pretty.
Oh, really?
It's pretty interesting. Yeah. Didn't you had something to say about Diamonds Are Forever, right?
Yeah, about the train.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that train scene, right, just reminded me of Diamonds Are Forever book, where there's a big train chase where the train is coming after Bond.
Yeah.
And it was a special train with a big, like, cow catcher on the front, which made me think of this very special train with that wild Easter Island Sam the Eagle face on the front.
Yes. I guess before we go to our final thoughts and rating, we should have our final companion beverage, which is vodka and Perrier with lime.
Yes.
We are back
After that long break to pour
Yeah.
vodka and Perrier in a glass.
with our Grey Goose vodka and our Perrier.
Well, they are in, like, Monaco and France-ish, right? So we can count that.
I
Grey
mean-
Goose, it's okay.
Vodka is Russian in origin, I
Right.
think.
I
So,
think so.
sure. And Perrier was prominent in this. So, yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Tastes a lot like vodka and lime.
It does. It tastes like vodka and lime. Imagine that. Final thoughts and rating. I'm going to make you go first again. What'd you like?
Ooh. Well, I thought Pierce Brosnan did a pretty good job. He's definitely on the sort of, he's got that kind of swagger
Yes.
a little bit, but it works, right? They don't overdo it.
Yeah.
So I thought it was good. And so I liked him as Bond. I thought he was good. Now, maybe that's not going to last, but we'll see. I think he's very good in this movie. They had great Bond things like the tank chase and things like that. So, yeah, I thought it was good.
Anything you really didn't like?
Not much. I got nothing to complain about, right? It's very entertaining.
So what's your rating?
All right. Let me see the list.
Well, I'm sorry. What's your out of 5 stars?
Out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it... Boy. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars.
4.5. Okay.
And I'm going to put it at number 5.
Number 5. Okay.
Let's hear what you got.
Here's what I like. I like absolutely everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this one is shrouded in the fog of nostalgia for me because this is the one I watched the most.
Yeah, I
this
can
was
see
my
that.
first Bond movie.
Yeah.
What I didn't like, there's nothing I didn't like. I mean, I loved everything. I think Pierce Brosnan is a great combination of Connery and Moore. He's got that swagger, but he's also got that cheekiness, and I think it works perfectly. I think the villain is good. I think the villain's plot is good. I think the henchmen are great, and I think the Bond girl is great. It is a 5-star movie, and it is my number 1 to
All
this
right.
point. Yeah,
All right.
easily. Like I was telling you, Living Daylight surprised me
Yeah.
that I thought so highly of it.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, there really wasn't any question from the beginning. I absolutely love this movie, and like I said, it's partially in that fog of nostalgia for me.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
That's how things are.
So let's talk about the theme song, "Goldeneye" by Tina Turner. This one definitely grew on me. I did like
Edge.
Bone on
and
the Edge.
Bono.
I did like how it was integrated into the movie. It's no A View to a Kill because at this point nothing is A View to a Kill.
No, it's pleasant. It's well written.
So I'm going to put this one at, you know what? I'm going to put it at number 6. I'm going to put it right below Goldfinger and right above Living Daylights, which is a little surprising to me. I thought I was going to go a little lower, but the more I listened to it, the more I liked it integrated into the movie.
I'm going to put it at number 8, right below For Your Eyes Only.
Not bad. Still, that's a good.
No, it's fine.
For that.
It's a solid song. It's memorable. It's well done. Right? There's nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any distracting things that make you not like it.
I mean, it's Tina Turner.
Yeah. Right.
You complain about Tina Turner, you're a communist.
No, it's good.
You're a Cossack, or
Well,
you're a communist that you want to be a Cossack fighting against the communists.
Yes. There are only so many of these themes that are like sort of not good.
Yeah.
Moonraker. I'm looking at you. But it's almost like the movies themselves, which it's sort of like the bottom level movies are pretty good movies.
Yeah. I mean, other than one movie, I love these movies other than one.
Exactly. So
Diamonds
it's
Are
like
Forever.
I know, which I just listened to, and Kid and Went are in there, although not in the same way.
But they are blatantly homosexual in the book, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
That they don't make that blatant in the movie. Slap and Tickle count 39. Bond and a Boat count 9. I think, like I said, we're stuck on Bond and a Boat count at 9 now moving forward. I can't remember for sure.
He ends up in a helicopter in this, but I'm sure nothing's happening with all those Marines in the helicopter
Guantanamo
with him.
Bay.
Well, presumably.
In a field.
We assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, then they might take a boat from Guantanamo back to America.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Our next episode is Tomorrow Never Dies. Any memory of this one at all?
No, but I know I saw it in the theater, and it will be interesting to see what I think of it when I see it again.
Well, that'll do it. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Good times.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Bottled in Bond. If you'd like to send us a message, you can do so at bottledinbondpod@gmail.com. Till your next briefing, pour yourself a drink, light a smoke, and find yourself a spirited companion. Goodbye.